We're back. Okay, so this is going to be The Boys Season 2 finale breakdown. We are going to be talking about The Boys. So if you have not seen the last episode, it's been a few fucking weeks. Get out there and watch it. Come on. So there will be massive spoiler alerts throughout the season. So we are back. Okay. Oh, so that's okay. Thank you for that. So there will be spoiler alerts, so if you don't want to everything to be spoiled, or if you don't care, it's gonna be fun either way. This show is fucking amazing. I love it. It's the only show I was actually able to really watch over this whole pandemic. Yo, mighty mighty. So some of the things that we kind of got to go over before we get into the season, I thought, well, one of the things was that within this season, it was revealed that Compound V was given to all the Soups as children, and that they weren't some special people. They were just lab rats, right? Because in throughout the season, you see Starlight, she's kind of reeling from this information because her parents lied to her whole life, and
well, they had her in this weird church like her whole life, where she was like basically a god amongst them. It was it's kind of odd, the realism that would probably be of if that was a real situation.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a huge blow to anyone's ego. And so that was one of the things I wanted to put out before we got into the episode, so everybody keep that in mind. What else? That's something else. Parallel. Oh yeah, there was some weird parallels I thought that we'll get to as we go. There's some weird parallels to how we are functioning as a society. I feel like they were commenting, a little social commentary was interweaved in this season as well. So here we go. Here is the first slide we got, and that is the supervillain attack PSA, which was so creepy. I don't know. What was your thoughts on this? I thought it was a great way to start this episode.
I mean, it just shows the fakeness of Homelander. He's just this face for this evil corporation, and we've seen some of the things that he's done, and then for him to be there and just shit-eating grin on his face, and yeah, I'm the good guy. I'll be right there to take care of you. I'm Homelander.
Homelander. Yeah, I thought this was great because they had some really interesting things that sort of don't it's one of the interesting things I thought was like the pro gun sort of where the teacher had a gun, and then they were sort of they told the kids to impale with the flagpole, like the fucking the
what was the acronym? What was the acronym
law.
that they?
It was law. I can't remember what it said. Oh, it was
lock the doors. Basically, I forget what the acronym
on the floor
was.
and something else. It was some weird
arm yourself.
Arm yourself and
wait. Yeah.
Wait for help. So the teacher has a gun. In this PSA, they're showing kids like you're supposed to stab or impale somebody with this device, and it's an insane opening, and I loved it. It just was a great way to start it up and to get you into where they're at, because where they're at in the series is that there are these there's these super villains, right? They named them
super terrorists. Super terrorists.
There you go, super terrorists who've been attacking. But the thing is that Homelander gave these people the Compound V. So Homelander,
they're manufactured. It's manufactured so that they can be the heroes.
Exactly, because they're trying to sell Compound V on a mass level, which is part of a deeper conspiracy with a new character to the season, Stormfront. But we'll get there. So then we got our next. Let's see. Boom. So our next slide here. I love the slides, by the way. So our next slide here is what's her name? The Congresswoman. I wrote it down. I keep forgetting her name, but Congresswoman. This person. What is her name? Gosh darn. Victoria Newman. So Congresswoman Victoria Newman, and this is what is her name? Oh my God, I didn't write her name down. So the other lady who's in this is part of the CIA and is also part of this faction of the CIA that monitors superheroes, and she has her own backstory and stuff. But we won't go into backstories right now because that's not really it. So they're talking to Jim Bieber, who is a statesman. I can't remember what his place is, but he's basically saying that Vought is giving the marching orders for the president. That Vought is running the show, and that they're telling the president what to do. And what else were they saying? They were saying stuff about Compound V, giving it to ICE, like
Yeah, they were going to at first give it to all law enforcement, and then ICE was the first on the list to deal with what those guys deal with. And
right, which ICE is if anybody doesn't know, is in America is the immigration unit that has been on pictures in IRL, showing kids locked up in cages. They're separating parents from their children. There is a whole thing that everybody hates ICE. So and
they are also charged with policing human trafficking too. Just so you know.
Yeah, and so
if you weren't aware, that's part of their responsibilities as ICE.
So yeah, so lots of fun things that they're sort of referring to in IRL here, and they, of course, the super soldiers, and this is kind of following,
which is terrifying. That's
right.
Terrifying. Holy moly!
Yeah. Well, and also, so Stormfront, who is a new character on this season, is also planning. She's sort of pushing this narrative to give out Compound V to all these people, because she's trying to build a super race. Because she's racist as shit. She was a Nazi. It turns out that she's been alive for hundreds of years. Who knows how old she really is?
Miss Liberty or something. What was her other name?
I can't remember.
Liberty. Liberty.
I think that was it. Yeah, it was Liberty, and she has this master plan to give a master race the Compound V, and then everyone else they're sort of gonna eliminate. And lots of interesting stuff going on there. And they were selling the Compound V for $5 million a pop, which diverts from the actual comic, because in the comics it costs billions to manufacture. So they kind of diverted there, but they were going to sell these doses for about $5 million. The name Stormfront was a dead giveaway. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, she had the force power. She had like the Emperor power with it was basically the Dark Force.
Emperor Palpatine, yeah, bro. Yeah. There was so many, and what was great about Stormfront is there's so many parallels between Star Wars and like Darth Vader, even, especially when she's
getting all chopped up at the end.
Yeah. And she, of course, the Palpatine lightning bolts and shit. So they did a really good job at sort of showing a little homage to different stories and different creators and stuff. I loved it. There's lots of those in this episode as well, and throughout the season. Let's see. So they have this meeting here, and they're just talking about how basically Vought runs the show, and they're trying to sway public opinion and some. Do you remember exactly what? Because there was more to this conversation. I remember seeing it this morning. I just watched the fucking thing this morning. Ugh,
me too. I mean, basically, this guy was just being a pompous politician up there, tying his tie. He kept asking for his. Not without my tie clip,
my flag pin.
My flag pin.
Right, he was just such a douche, and what it showed was that he just didn't care really. He was just really looking. They were even saying like, "Well, we have a way to make you bend to our needs," and he was like, "What is me banging my nanny at my kid's fucking birthday party? Go ahead, I'll get a cushy job at Fox News. I'll be done with this madness." So.
Please do that to me so that I can get a higher paying job in the private sector, because the world is shit, and that's how it works.
Which is how it works in real life. So here's one of those parallels that I loved, where they're sort of making a social commentary. So let's jump ahead to here's Butcher and the boys are going over their plans, and of course their plans are to kidnap Ryan And I think, have they established that yet? Yeah, they have established that at this point where they're gonna go get Ryan, which is Homelander's son, and they're making plans, and they have this.
Well, he's already made the deal, right? Butcher's already made the deal
Yeah,
that he's gonna
well,
give them Ryan, and he takes his wife, basically.
right, and yeah, exactly, and he actually was gonna end up betraying his wife and give up Ryan to Vought, and Vought was going to use Ryan as sort of a pawn to control Homelander, because they're noticing now that Homelander is starting to sort of slip, and he's starting to sort of go off script, sort of starting to just do his own thing, like he wants to.
And he's basically indestructible. This
Right.
guy, like,
Which is great.
they're gonna have to deal with him.
Yes, yeah, and yeah, because and there's a huge diversion of the storyline from the comic book and the TV show that happens in this series and in this episode even. And we'll get there. We'll get there. So they're trying. What they were trying. They plan to. They're trying to kill Stormfront with some Vought made contraption, and which ends up not really working out in the end for them. They
Well, no, they were just trying to. That contraption was to lure Homelander.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
They were
right,
luring.
right. Yeah, but they were going to. Weren't they going to confront Stormfront too? Weren't they planning on going to confront Stormfront?
Well, they wanted her gone.
Right.
Once she was gone, then they distracted Homelander because she flew over and they're like, all right, she's on the move. And then they turned on the super hearing thing that only Ryan and Homelander
would be
were hearing.
Okay, we'll get to that too. Okay. So they're just planning their attack to go get Ryan because because Butcher made a deal. And so this is Stormfront right here talking to Homelander, and this scene was really good because she kind of starts revealing what her real plans are, and she's talking about she's talking about how they're talking about Carlos Esposito's character, how what did she say? She's like, he's pretty smart for one of them, and then she starts sort of going into this about the plan to distribute Compound V to basically the Hitler Youth, and then he was just like, so what happens when it gets into the wrong people's hands? And she's just like, oh well, we had a Friedrich the Friedrich Vought, who started Vought Industries, who was a Nazi, which another parallel to reality, because after World War II, we brought a lot of Nazi scientists over in America to do work, and
who made a lot of bad decisions too for us. The way we spray pesticides on fields and everything all came from Nazi technology.
Nazi technology. Yeah, because what was it? It was like, it's the pesticides, but also it was the way that they were able to. That's a key component in like a bomb or something, right? Wasn't that?
Yeah.
There's like the
ammonium nitrate or whatever it is.
There's because the dude won. The guy who invented that in real life, he won a Pulitzer Prize, but then also was a war criminal because of this certain substance that ended up we use for pesticides. I'm sorry, I'm ruining all of that because I don't.
It was early chemical warfare, though. I know that.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically, just spraying this on people and then they die later.
So she's letting Homelander know how she feels, and Homelander seems to sort of just brush this shit off, like he's just like, oh well, whatever. And I think it points to how Homelander just really wants human connection, or a connection, right? Like he just wants some sort of love, because he'll overlook this insane plan that Stormfront has, and I don't think he feels the same either, right? Like,
well, that was the relationship he had with Elizabeth Shue's character, right? Mm-hmm. His previous mommy character that was in his life, that he was drinking her breast milk, and that was the weirdest possible thing in the world at the time when you saw it. Yeah. But yeah, he's trying to fulfill this, like you said, this human connection that he's finding with this other superhero, and they've been having superhero sex all over the city, and
which was awesome. Those are great scenes.
It was a great scene. Yeah.
They're just like busting shit up, banging and stuff. It's like exactly how you would imagine two superheroes banging, right? It's like
he's like burning her a little bit, and she's like electrocuting him a little bit, and they're like, yeah. I'm into this.
They love it. They love it. All right, so this is Carlos Esposito, and his name is Stan Egger in there. I love Carlos Esposito, by the way. I loved him in Breaking Bad. Like he's just such a good villain. He just has that dark, like that dark
Yeah.
essence. He's able to tap that so well. He's just such a great actor. Fucking fantastic. So this is the scene where they're sort of making the deal. Butcher and him are starting to talk about.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of, maybe I have this out of order, but they talk about, they're also talking about, which is fun because he's in this scene. They're talking about how how can you, as a black man, have Stormfront as this main character in your guys' narrative, and have her running the show. And he just, he says, is like, well, I don't like her, but this is just business. And he's just like, it's business, bitch.
Yeah.
And when has it never been about business? Yeah, and then of course this is where he's talking about betraying his wife and giving over the kid and stuff. So, yeah, and basically Carlos Esposito gives up Homelander's location where Ryan is to get Ryan to use Ryan as a pawn to control Homelander. Yeah, so it's great scene. I love this dude. He's just great. He's just a great actor, and he's just so good at being bad. Just a bad guy. He's such a bad guy. So okay, that's stupid. All right, where are we at now? All right, so now let's smash to let's see. What is that? Oh yeah, okay. So we already talked about this. Yeah, where I'm sorry, I'm going over my notes because I made notes. So yeah, cut to Starlight and Huey, who are on their way to recruit Queen Maeve, because Starlight had this idea that she needed someone else to testify with her in Congress, because at this point in the series, Starlight is a traitor, and they're calling her a criminal, and they basically excommunicated her from the Seven, and she's on the run. And so Queen Maeve is they're going to talk to Queen Maeve to try to get her to testify with her and work against Vought. And let's see, they also kind of reveal why Huey is so into Billy Joel, in these car rides too, because they're in the car a couple times in this area, and they reveal how Huey lost his mom. Huey's mom's not dead, but she's like, why do you always have to listen to, because what are they listening to? Oh, Only the Good Die Young, which I hate that fucking song. I just can't say Only the Good Die Young. Ugh. I used to have to play it in a band. Fucking hate that song. I fucking hate it. It's
not Bruce Springsteen. It's Billy Joel, huh?
Yeah, it's Billy Joel,
Oh.
the piano man himself. So he talks about how his mom walked out on him as a child, and he's sort of frozen in time, and that's why he always goes and helps Starlight. He went and saved her from the tower, and he's just it just is a great way of showing a little bit more of the character and where he comes from, and how he's sort of frozen in this moment of his mom walking out on his family at a young age. And nice little backstory. Let me see. I gotta check the notes because I am such a burnout. I can't fucking. Oh yeah. So also, here's a fun fact about Huey, because Huey was originally drawn like Simon Pegg. In the comic book series, apparently Simon Pegg was the original. He was the framework for this character. The person who drew him was like, I see Simon Pegg. And so Simon Pegg, by the time they made the show, Simon Pegg was too old to be Huey. So Simon Pegg ended up playing Huey's dad in the first season. So that's just a little fun fact there for y'all.
Good job. Factoids.
Yeah, we like those, right? We like the little factoids. So moving on to, they finally get to Queen Maeve's after all this. Queen Maeve calls him a twink, which is hilarious. And
She really rides that through too.
yeah,
She
like
really rides the twink all the way to the end there.
it was really funny too how she, I mean, because she just gave like zero fucks about him. And he goes to shake her hand, and she just looks at him, and she's drinking and smoking. And even at the beginning of this, they're kind of showing of this scene, they kind of pan across the room, and there's like bongs everywhere, and she's being. And the problem is that she's right now is sort of being oppressed because she has to sort of hide her identity as a lesbian who's in a lesbian relationship with her girlfriend, who every time that in the past that she's had a relationship with somebody, Homelander gets jealous and murders them. So it's yeah. So there you go.
Yeah, you probably want to keep that to yourself.
Yeah. So it kind of got out, and even in the series, they sort of they kind of exploit it with Queen Maeve because they kind of make her like, oh, I'm a lesbian, and like because throughout the whole series,
they use it for social justice and to get more likes and everything.
Right.
Basically, they're like, oh, we can exploit this and get more outreach for our Vought at this point,
Right, and that's why they brought on Stormfront, because Stormfront, when you first see her, she's like this SJW, social justice warrior, who has a big following on Instagram or whatever, and she's always talking about injustices, and she's a woman and embracing womanhood. And as the season sort of progresses, you see how like this is all just a Stormfront. Thank you, plastics. That you see how this is a front to capture a large audience. And I love that parallel of the IRL, of how people will use that position. They'll use that to their advantage to sort of gain social points or social what what I'm talking about, when people are online and and they're
more likes, more shares,
Yeah.
more comments, more views,
more clicks,
more
and,
clicks, more dopamine.
yeah. So people will sort of use this, even if they don't actually believe in what they're saying. They'll just sort of do it to get social brownie points and look like, hey, look at me.
It's virtue signaling.
Thank
right?
you.
Isn't that what it's called?
That's what they're calling it. It's virtue signaling. But she was doing it on like such a crazy level, on like a Nazi level. So
yeah,
you gotta love her. No, you don't. You don't have to love her. That was not the right thing to say. Just you gotta love the Nazi. Let's see. She gives a big speech in this scene about how that she just has to go along with Homelander, and again she's murdered all of her friends in the past, or boyfriend or lovers, and she's just over it. And you see her as this defeated woman who's just going along with things and not just like, fuck it, whatever happens. Yeah. So this sort of runs parallel with the book. It definitely, in the book, she is this person. She is this. She's this broken alcoholic who's just sort of going along with it because what else is she gonna do? It's fruitless to fight against it. And eventually she kicks them out and was like, get the fuck out of my house and take your twink with you, or whatever she said. Hey, Scroopler.
Twink. She's like, twinkity twink, twink. She said it. Lots.
Scroopler, welcome. Thank you for being here. Hello. We are just doing The Boys Season 2 finale breakdown. And we are we are just talking about how the book and the TV show diverge, but sometimes they keep things, and Maeve is one of them. Maeve is one of those storylines that sort of line up with the TV show. All right, so then they get kicked out, and then they sort of smash to Butcher's wife, who makes this daring escape out of the cabin that they're sort of being held at, or locked. They're basically imprisoned. Her and Ryan were in prison. And during the season, there's a scene where Stormfront and Homelander are just like, we're over you. And they just grab the boy and they just fly away. And he just shows the mom like, ah! So goes into mom mode. She breaks out of the cabin and she gets away. And so Butcher and her had made some plans previously to get Ryan and reunite, even though Butcher was planning on betraying her. But he told her, it's like, I'm living in the bottom of some pawn shop, so in Flatbush. And so she escapes and she goes to every pawn shop in East Flatbush in New York City. And she's just trying to find him. And of course, she finds him. And
she's a hot mess.
She's a hot mess.
She's a hot mess.
She's dirty. And she tells him how he took Ryan and Butcher. But Butcher is, of course, not sold on Ryan. But he does eventually get on board, but that's later in the show. She emphasizes how much Ryan can't be like Homelander, because Homelander is obviously I love the character art. I love how they're sort of painting this picture of this guy who is a sociopath, and on some level, I mean, he is sort of this god amongst men, like he doesn't really have to listen or be loyal to any nation, right? Like he can just sort of, I mean, he could murder everybody. I mean, and I love that scene. You remember the scene where he flies in and like Stormfront is memeing him? Remember, he's memed.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And his public opinion starting to falter. And he shows up at that rally with the Congresswoman.
And he starts to freak out a little bit. He's like,
Right.
I'm gonna fix this.
Right, and everybody's like,
The
boo!
power of Homelander.
Yeah, everybody boos him, and then they show him just like lasering down. Like, it was such an awesome scene. He just like cuts down like half the crowd with his eyes, and then that ends up being some like crazy fantasy because it wasn't real. But it was such a good scene because it's definitely showing this arc of this guy who, in the first place, who was kind of a piece of shit in the first place. He's slowly but surely sort of moving into the ideas like, I don't need to listen to anybody. I don't need to be loyal to Vought. I don't need to be loyal to US. I can just be me. And of course, the end scene of this episode is...
Well, let's not go to there yet.
Yeah, we won't get there yet.
Won't get there yet.
They reconnect. And I like this sort of, this reunion because Butcher takes her down into the basement and he meets sort of the boys. And they're all like, like Frenchie is all like, he's told us all about you. And, everybody's all like, yay, it's you. Which was really...
Here's the sandwich, just the way you like it, and the drink that you enjoy. We know everything about you.
Right, which I thought was really funny. I thought that was a really funny touch that these guys were these cold-blooded killers who were just so like happy to have his wife back. It was just a fun little thing to show a little bit more of the characters. Let's see, where did I skip some? Oh no. So then we are over at Stan Egger, and he is with what's his name? Alistair Adonda, who is the head of the Church of the Collective, which is an obvious parody of
Church of the Collective. What do you mean? The Scientologists?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I meant. It was an actual. It's a parody of Scientology.
Because Scientology always recruits celebrities and
right.
as their like Tom Cruise, John Travolta,
right,
Beck, Steve Miller.
Which Beck, I was just like, when I found out that Beck was a Scientologist, I was just like, really, Beck? But it's so funny.
You know who else was a Scientologist? Robert Hunter.
Oh,
that wrote
from the Dead.
That wrote the song. That wrote the songs with Jerry Garcia.
Whoa.
Yeah. He went on later after most of those songs were written, but I think that he ended up jumping on board.
That is so funny to me that like Chick Corea too. Like I fucking love Chick Corea. Like Return to Forever and what's the name of that album? Because it's Chick Corea and Return to Forever, but it's his album, the one Light as a Feather. And I mean, I love that album. I love his playing. I love if I could play like Chick Corea, I mean, I would just be so happy and all my problems would go away.
Maybe it's because he's a Scientologist that he plays like that.
Exactly. See, maybe they know something we don't. I mean, look at Tom Cruise. Look how positive that dude is. Look at how proactive that dude is. Look how successful and how focused that guy is. I mean, if something is able to do that for you, I mean, is that really a bad thing? I mean, it's only
I
when
don't think so.
it's only when you start becoming, you start talking bad about the churches when they start doing those crazy things, like fucking
Mm.
locking you up and spreading disinformation things, and it's great. It's great. It's a great parallel. And also Fresco. What the fuck was Fresco all about? Why was there so much?
I haven't figured this out yet, but like I was going to go to the store this morning and buy a Fresca just so I could pop it out during this time frame. But that was so much effort, though.
I
I
know.
didn't do it, Mike. But let me hold on.
Sure.
Fresca?
We're just gonna pretend like this is Fresco here.
Yeah. In my old Budweiser plastic cup because I'm so classy.
Classy as fuck.
That's what they say when they think of me.
Yeah, that's true. I know I did the first time I met you.
This guy's classy.
This dude is classy. This dude just farted right next to me and didn't say shit about it. This dude is all class.
For like 3 hours. For 3 hours of playing music, I just fart next to you, Mike. Hey man, listen, I'm not holding that in on stage. It's cumbersome. You get the body moving around and stuff. It's gonna do stuff,
It's gonna do stuff. It is gonna do stuff. Okay, so in this scene, Stan Edgar and Alistair Adana are talking about. They're basically talking about. They're making a deal, which is basically them saying, "I have something on you, you have something on me. Let's make a deal," right? Because he's trying to get A-Train, who has been excommunicated from the Seven because Stormfront has gained so much power that she's able to dictate this, and she's super racist. So A-Train is off the team, off the Seven, and so was the Deep. But the Deep was kicked off the team last season because he was sexually inappropriate with Starlight, and it came out that he was just a piece of shit, and he's just this lost person, which I love how they paint him like that, as this lost person.
I love the scene where he's tripping with his gills, though. You know what I mean? Where he's tripping balls and his gills are talking to him. Yes. He's like, ah!
Yeah, man.
This guy totally looks like Stifler's brother too, don't he? The guy who plays the Deep.
He does.
It's like Stifler. It's Stifler's brother.
Stifler's brother. This motherfucker. Yeah. So let's see. They call each other out. The church is running. Oh yeah, so the church is running all these money scams. They're like the Church of Scientology. They're just taking people's money, giving them stupid alien information like that's reality, and they're supposed to just buy it. And they're also it's beyond taking advantage of people. It is them talking about actually taking money, stealing money. They have shady business practices. And then the church has dirt on Vaught's heroes because what ends up happening when they come on board to the Church of the Collective, they, like Scientology, they have to give up their deepest and darkest secrets. And then Scientology uses that against celebrities who break away from the church and talk shit. So as does the Church of the Collective. They collect information so they have lots of, so they could destroy people's careers if they had to. And so, so they both agree that it's all about the business and fuck it. And so the Deep makes it back on the team. He ends up getting back onto the Seven very shortly, but he ends up getting back on there.
He doesn't know yet though, right?
No, not at this point. And then, let's see. Stan reveals that he just wants a good team, but A-Train is off because of the racism from Stormfront. So that's basically, they're like, we'll take the Deep back, but A-Train, is done because Stormfront's racist, and A-Train happens to be over. He was listening. He was in another room, and they ended up revealing that he was there all the time. And of course, they never pay off Fresca. They just never do. It's just, they're always, they don't really address it, do they? They just, at the end.
They just keep showing it. They're like, Fresca?
Yeah. It's just like this weird drink that they have. I don't know if there's anything other than maybe it's a product placement that they were just like, fuck it, let's make it some weird thing.
LaCroix?
LaCroix.
Did I say it wrong? I don't even know how to say it.
It's LaCroix, bro. LaCroix.
LaCroix?
LaCroix, which is not even
LaCroix?
LaCroix.
LaCroix?
Well, some would call it LaCroix. LaCroix.
What it tastes like.
You know what? I love LaCroix.
You love LaCroix is what you love.
I do. You know, I actually buy the Kroger brand of the pink one, the grapefruit.
Oh, that's not bad though.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, I just can't handle it's pop, man. Pop is just soda is just too much sugar, man. I just can't do it. Just can't do it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's head over to. So then they jump cut to Huey and Starlight back in the car, and here comes fucking A-Train. Just
out of nowhere.
Yeah, he just pops up out of the back seat like, "Hey, Bubble." Yeah, Bubble Water is the bomb. I love it. I love it. So these guys are. A-Train just pops up out of nowhere, and of course Starlight is horrified, but A-Train brings the good news that they pull over and they get out of the car, and they bring the good news that he stole the evidence that they were looking for, because they needed a way to sort of discredit Stormfront, or a way to take her down, because she was.
They didn't show him stealing that from the church, did they?
No, but
he just shows up with it.
Right, yeah, and well, they kind of address it later on in the episode when Alistair is talking to A-Train and the Deep, and when he's notifying that the A-Train is back on, but the Deep is not.
That's right.
He kind of alludes. It's like there was no one on the security footage. Was there, A-Train? And so. Yeah, so they do sort of refer, they make an allusion, they allude to it, but it was never shown. And what I liked about this was that they show Huey sort of wincing and flinching in this interaction, because Huey in the first season had a horrible situation where A-Train ran through his wife or his girlfriend.
Blew her up.
He blew her up because he was running so fast that he was so high on, I think it was Compound V, right? He was just like all juiced up on V or something.
Yeah.
And the scene is awful because like he's just sitting there talking to his girl, and all of a sudden she explodes, and he's just holding her hands. He's just sitting there like holding their hands. That they're all just hands, and the rest is.
Doesn't A-Train stop for a second?
He does. He stops.
He's like, "Oh shit."
yeah.
Sorry.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He gives zero fucks, which I love that. I mean, like all these superheroes just all exhibit like so much apathy towards humans and humanity. They're just, but somehow they're still slaves to them, which is very interesting juxtaposition that they're sort of painting out here. So they receive the files that Stormfront is a Nazi, a former Nazi, and that I don't know if he reveals what her plans are, but they're just like, oh shit, we can destroy her. This is awesome. And so A-Train does it because he was pissed off and was trying to destroy Stormfront, and this was his way to destroy her and to get back onto the Seven, which does end up
mission accomplished.
Right, and he did that. And so I love all of this. So okay, so then we cut to.
He's got to buy back Prince's guitar though. He's got to get that money so he can get Prince's guitar back.
Purple rain, purple stain. That's dope. I love that they had that little detail. So
anyway,
here's Ryan, and they're at Planet Vought, which is basically Planet Hollywood. But it's all about the superheroes. And when Homelander walks in with Ryan and Stormfront, they immediately start getting swarmed, and Ryan freaks out because he's been in isolation his whole life with just him and his mom, and he's never really been outside into the real world. So
he's got super hearing. And super senses, so it's overload,
Right. And so he starts to sort of freak out, and Homelander notices it, which I really love. I really like that they showed how Homelander sort of had this soft side to him, that he wasn't just this, this fucking sociopath. Because he really does love his son. He really does, but it's funny in the end. it's funny what happens in the end because but we'll get there. So yeah, they fly off and they go back to the cabin, and let me see. So yeah, then we see this sort of sweet interaction where he's like, "I love you, son," and he really cares, and he shows this softer side of him. And
You can stop saying the states of America in alphabetical order.
right,
Let's talk. Let's talk.
right. You're safe with me, and I'll always be there for you. And it's like
Then Stormfront comes in on it and gets all creepy with him.
Oh my
She's
god,
got a very creep. She's so creepy.
she is creepy. But
This is where we discussed the white genocide, wasn't it? In the cabin, she explained to Ryan that people want to hurt people like us.
yes, yes. So this happens outside the cabin, but I'm wondering why what the hell happened to my other slides? Hold on. I feel like half my slides didn't show up. There should be like 50 slides. Which we're only on 18. God, we need.
I only have 20.
God damn it! All right, hold on. We might have to ditch the slides. Oh, that bums me out. I did so much work today. I did so much work today that I know that it was. I did so much work.
It's more than 20.
Oh my god! Yeah, it was. Oh yeah, and so in here. They're all in here. That's crazy. So they're all in my phone, but they're not on here. Let me reset it. Let me do this. Let's see. We're at 18. Oh my god. What in the fuck? Why aren't they showing up? This is bumming me out, man. I did all. Oh, here he goes. We got some background music while Mike figures out his tech. All right. Well, we're just gonna have. Thank you very much. Give him a round of applause for that. There you go. They love it. Okay, so our slideshow is. Oh, god damn it! That makes me so mad. Great playing, Jason. Mighty liked it. So this will be our last slide, and then we're just gonna have to talk about it. God darn it. That really makes me upset. I really put a lot of time into this. I put all morning into this. This is how sad of a day I had. Okay, so let's see. So here's again, we're kind of touching back on this meeting that happened between Butcher and Stan Edgar, and they're just talking about what they're going to do and the plan. Stan Edgar is going to give up Homelander's location so he can go kidnap Ryan and then have a way of controlling the Homelander. And also with doing that, he is going to get his wife back and get protection and be and have his wife back, and he's going to sell out his wife to get to just be happy, I guess, but that's not going to be what happens. And so
he just wants his wife back. That's all he wants. That's all he thinks he wants, you know?
That's all he thinks he wants. And so there is no more. It's so bummer. That is such a bummer, man. I can't believe how big of a shit show. And you only have 20, you said?
Yeah, I have 20 on this slide.
So I'm wondering if it just, at a certain point, it just says, screw you, you don't get to have that many.
Probably.
It's like you don't get to share that many with me.
Well, slide 19 says 15 on it.
Oh, good. Oh, yeah. Well, that's because I was screenshotting it from
Oh, okay.
from Charlie from Emergency Awesome, which I did a lot of. Well, he helped with a lot of this background stuff. You guys should definitely go check out Emergency Awesome. It's an amazing, amazing, amazing YouTube channel that does a lot of these breakdowns and stuff.
I know. I wish I would have hung my green sheet behind me because then I could be floating into this sweet waves with you.
Well, you'd be in the space matrix, but that's okay. We didn't talk about it, and I appreciate all the work you're doing already. So thank you for hanging in there. So we're gonna switch back to here, and we'll just be talking about it now. It's just so much fun when there's like a slide to look at. So let's just blast through this then. So then let's see, where were we? Yes. So hold on. Did I go forward? Hold on. Oh yeah. So Ryan.
We're at the cabin, I thought.
Right. We're at the cabin. Homelander flies Ryan back to the cabin, and you have a sweet interaction. And then Butcher talks. He does that. So a little divergent from the comic books in the way that they control Homelander. One of the ways that they control Homelander in the comic books is that they have Black Noir, and Black Noir at the end of it. In the comics, there's this huge divergence at this point because they also go and they lose, because Black Noir ends up getting killed, but also Black Noir in the comic books is a Homelander clone, and he was created to sort of keep Homelander in check. And towards the end of the book, or Black Noir actually kills Homelander when Homelander is going to storm the White House and just take over because he was like, "Why am I listening to these turds?" Oh, look at that! Shit popped in. Oh yes, it popped back in. Okay, so we're gonna.
Is that the name of your sex tape, Mike?
It popped back in, baby. So, okay, we're back. We're back with the screen show. Yeah. All right, so here we are at the cabin, and Stormfront. This is the scene that I fucking thought was awesome, where it shows Stormfront talking about her big plan and well, trying to convince this little boy who has no hate in his heart. And he's like, because they're trying to train Ryan to use his superpowers. And it was so funny because they used the Deep, they used the action figure of the Deep, and they're like, so he's like, it always helps me to picture someone I hate, and Ryan's like, well, I don't hate anybody, and then Stormfront, here's where she sort of does this like motherly, I mean, she does it in the sweetest, most racist way. It's like there's a war happening, and it's called white genocide, and. The funny thing is that throughout this whole thing, I mentioned it earlier, but Homelander sort of he sort of overlooks these things, right? Because even in this next scene, after she gets done talking to Brian and trying to sort of convince him, it shows Homelander just being like, okay, and then let's get back to work. Let's just get right. He just blows right by it, and it's so fucking funny. Well, it's not funny, but it's hilarious in the fact that he's just sitting there like, okay. And, he doesn't really believe that, but he's just like, he just wants to be loved. And so this is what's happening. And so in that same sentiment, she goes from this motherly Aryan youth speech to fuck, because it all comes out that she is a Nazi. And so we sort of flash to NNC, which is, by the way, Stormfront Nazi pictures leaked. The boys, they release the pictures to the press, and it becomes known that Stormfront is this Nazi, and she's basically, her career is over. And so she freaks out, and it's just not a good scene in her head. I mean, it's a good scene on the show, but not for her. It's a bad scene for her. Let me see. Let me make sure that I'm getting everything here.
They're showing up for me now too. I'm getting all of them.
Good. Stormfront gets the call. She starts cussing. she starts getting memed, which is very funny because it's sort of like the opposite of what happened. Because she was memeing Homelander at the beginning, and now she's getting memed. So what she was doing ended up coming back to bite her in the butt, which is very funny when you think about some of these journalists who are like these social justice warrior journalists, which I didn't know that journalism and the media was supposed to be making comments like this, but but that's what we're at now. But it's kind of funny how some of these journalists will kind of get it'll come back to bite them in the ass. They're not so, because they're never going to be woke enough, right? You're never going to be woke enough, and eventually it's going to come back and eat you. This idea of being ultra woke. And so I like sort of that parallel where it sort of came back to bite her in the ass. Her past, which a lot of people, that's what happens, like they tout like BLM and and they do all the virtue signaling, and then they made one post, 10 years ago where they had blackface, and now their career's over, and that's extreme. And so is this, of course. But I do love these sort of parallels that they have in the show. And this is one of them. And so here's Stormfront with her pal Adolf Hitler. And so here we go. So she ends up getting memed, which is really funny, actually. This little kids are singing this, and it's like she's watching this on her phone, and it's like this little nursery rhyme where she should be run her over with a car. And by the way, that car is from the show Supernatural, which I've never seen in my life. But some of the creators behind behind The Boys are the same creators behind Supernatural, and so they were sort of stuffing all these little Supernatural references. Also, one of the stars from Supernatural, Jansen Ackles, is he bought that car from Supernatural. And Jansen will also be brought onto the show to be playing Soldier Boy, who is going to be on season 3 of The Boys. All right. You all right, bud? Are you holding in there?
I'm good. I just need to put a little something else under my butt.
Like I only expected us to talk about the election and D-Rock for like an hour, and then we would just blow through this, and then we'd be done. But
there's no way. There's no way we could have only spent an hour on what's going on.
I know. But in my fucking head, I'm like, yeah, this is what's happening. So let's see what. So Stormfront's fucked, and she's realizing it. Jason Ackles, Soldier Boy, will be on next season, and he's also from Supernatural. So the boys set off the ultrasonic. So they're putting their plan into action, and they're setting off the Vought-made ultrasonic things that only affect Homelander and Ryan because of their super hearing.
Sure looked like some Sony Bluetooth speakers to me, but
Yeah, they were just like, peel that Sony off there and put Vought on there and we're good. Yeah, so it was all just a ploy to get to lure Homelander away from the cabin long enough for them to get in there and grab Ryan and make off with them. And so which ended up happening, and they ended up getting Ryan. But that plan gets foiled, and we'll get there. But what I loved was the scene because the plan is that Butcher was going to get the boy and drop the phone. There was a cell phone they were going to drop, and they were going to track the location to the cabin. So then Vought could come in and get the boy, and all would be fine, and their deal will be done. Butcher changes plans middle of the plan as they're putting the plan into action. Changes plans, and they divert to he wants to keep the boy and the mom together. So he betrays his deal with Stan Egger, and he is trying to save both his wife and the boy and Ryan. So these guys come in looking for Ryan, and Homelander gets lured out. He destroys the ultrasonic devices, flies back home to the cabin just to find these dudes in there, and did someone say Butcher? And then someone on the radio was like, "Do you have the boy?" And Homelander, in a perfect, he's whoever playing, whatever his name is, are you taking off, Lovely Lace? Or are you saying hi? Oh, he's just saying hi. Hey, Lovely, thanks for being here. Still, I know today is a long one, but yeah. So they Homelander proceeds to cut these motherfuckers down. He lasers someone's head in half, and that's not the greatest image in the world, but gonna dip. No problem, Lovely. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. You have a wonderful day. Okay, and so Homelander just rips all these people apart. They don't really show the whole thing, and then so here's where Butcher is trying to get the boy out, Ryan and the mom, trying to get them to safety. And Stormfront, here he comes. What's this show again? It's The Boys. It's on Amazon Prime. If you wanted to watch it, it's a superhero show. It's just a superhero show. We're just nerding out over here because we both like it. And anyways, so here they are trying to get away with the boy, and Stormfront jumps in and of course foils the plan. Let's see.
So she's already taken off. This is how they got in, right? They were like, "Oh, there she goes," and then
well, she was coming back to sort of regroup after all has fallen apart, and she sort of comes upon these guys as they're getting away with Ryan. And Stormfront shows up. Stormfront reveals more of her plans, talking about what's truth if they believe everything I say. And of course, wait, is this before or after? Oh my God, did I get things mixed up? I don't remember. But
I think that was before.
Yeah, I think
she's pissed.
Yeah, she's pissed. And so there's an awesome scene here where they confront Stormfront and Kimiko, who is the Asian she's a super who is part of the boys, and earlier in the season she ended up having to, her brother made an appearance and he ended up getting killed, and so she had a little character arc in this season too. But so she goes at it, and one of the fun things that they show about the Compound V in this is that she gets her neck sort of twisted all around and she's able to sort of heal. And what's sort of revealed with this is that Compound V has the capabilities of healing, but also has the capabilities of bringing supers back to life from the dead. And it sort of brings them back as zombies, sort of like mindless zombies. And they sort of allude to Black Noir being one of those. So Kimiko and Stormfront fight. And then meanwhile, Starlight and Queen Maeve do team up, and Queen Maeve ends up helping Starlight kill Black Noir, because Black Noir has been on the case the whole time trying to track her down, and now that she's in the tower, Queen Maeve knows that Black Noir has a peanut allergy or a nut allergy, right? And then they end up giving him an almond joy. So it was really funny. It's like this diverges from the comic for sure. That show with A Train. Yeah, he runs and turns that girl into blood. Yes, exactly. This is season 2, the finale. So, yeah, and so spoilers. Sorry, Wild and Sober. I don't know if you're into that show or not, but spoiler alert. So they ended up killing Black Noir, and I think it's funny that he died via nut allergy. Let me see. So yeah. So now they are all back they cut back to the. See, I might be getting this out of order. I hope I'm not. But so
yeah, I thought the nut allergy wasn't even this episode.
Yeah, you're right. I think you're right. I think Black Noir is already dead, right? Or yeah, it might be earlier.
But this is that's where Queen Maeve turned to what we would think is the good side at that point, is when she helped them kill Black Noir, and that's why Starlight felt necessary to go ask her for help, and then got called Twink. So
yes, okay, thank you for straightening that out, because that was is this show a dark comedy? I don't care about spoilers. It kind of is. There's some funny parts that are pretty dark, but yeah, I would say that it has some of that, but it's mostly a superhero show on how superheroes would be IRL if they actually existed, which would be basically gods amongst men, and what would keep them from even listening to mankind or humans.
corporate owned. They
And
are
corporate
corporate
owned,
owned.
yes, and corporate owned. There's that whole thing with the corporations that I love that they threw in there. So they here's the girl fight. This is sort of a take on the Avengers girls get it done sort of attitude that we saw in the last Avengers movie. And there's some references to Avengers on this. Uh, let's see. I mean, a realistic show, unlike Flash. Yeah. Yeah, pretty much, yeah, because it's pretty, yeah, or Supergirl or Green Lantern or whatever the ones that are all on that CW channel. Is that what it is? CW? I can't remember. Does CW exist anymore? Jesus, I'm just fucking, I don't know what's going on. Okay, guys. So then Queen Maeve ends up, showing up, and girls get it done, and they end up kicking the shit out of Stormfront, which you can see here. And even Frenchie makes a reference to, oh, I guess girls do get it done. So definitely an homage and a shout out to the Avengers there. Becca. So then now we're in the woods, right? And this
Well,
is
Stormfront dips.
right.
They're beating the
Stormfront's
crap out of her, and she's out because Butcher and Ryan and Butcher's wife have all fled. They were like, "All right, get the hell out of here. We'll take care of Stormfront. You guys get the hell out of here." And they take off like running in the woods or something, is what it appears.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, right. And then so she bounces, but then she sort of goes to get Ryan, right? Because that's sort of the idea. And Becca is Butcher's wife, and she ends up stabbing her in the eye, which is parallels the comic. But in the comic, Stormfront is a dude, and he does end up losing an eye, but it's not because of Becca. But there's a little bit of a parallel there. That thirst urge to do something bad with your powers. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so that's a little fun thing there. Becca takes out the eye, and Stormfront has Becca pinned to a tree, and she says that really creepy thing where she says, I like to see the light drain out or something, right? Like she says some real creepy shit. Which she has, again, I like that you pointed out that, and she has a lot of those moments where she just like gets real creepy. There's just like real evil lying in those eyes of hers.
Very uncomfortable. Like, I think that's the point, is to make you feel very uncomfortable when she speaks and touts her rhetoric and basically just pure evil,
Yeah, pure evil. Nazis are evil. Let's see here. So Becca is trying to say, okay, so here's a little side note, because here Ryan is starting to get mad. He's starting to be, because Ryan's there, and he's watching his mom get choked out, and Ryan he gets his laser shit going on, but he doesn't really have control over it. And here's a fun little thing is that they even mention is that there is over 30% of collateral damage that happens with soups because they don't have their powers down all the way, and people make accidents. Soups make accidents just like people, and so there's like over 30% of collateral damage in the interactions out there, and that doesn't get reported on, obviously, because that would be bad press. So that's a fun little number that sort of came out of the show. So Ryan goes ahead and blasts. And ends up blasting his mom, and she ends up dying. And then she makes Butcher promise to protect Ryan. And this was a really good scene too, because after she dies, like, you remember how he picks up the crowbar, he picks it up, and he's looking at Ryan like, I'm gonna fucking bash this kid's brain in. And what was interesting about the kind of a parallel, because in the book, his wife does get raped by, I think, Homelander, and he does impregnate her on the spot. And what ends up happening is that I think she ends up dying from the rape, and then then the baby grows at an accelerated pace, and the baby comes out with superpowers and all this. And Butcher does kill it when it comes out, because he's just
no shit.
So that's in the comic book. That's just a little fun tidbit.
So Ryan's not really a character line in the comic book at
No,
all.
no, I don't think so. I don't think that Ryan is something that exists or someone that exists in the book. Uh,
Hmm.
let me see. Butcher sacrifice. Team leaving the phone. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He, which butcher? Which was butcher? Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm reading old stuff. So he looks like he's gonna kill Ryan, and then Homelander shows up, and I love this scene where he kind of floats down. I know this is blurry, but it sort of he floats down, and he sort of and it comes into focus as he comes down, and he has blood all over his face from killing all the people in the cabin, and he's coming down the Stormfront because Stormfront ends up getting pretty much pieced out and gets the whole Anakin Skywalker treatment. And here you can see her burnt up, charred body, sort of, and she starts doing the whole like she's talking in German, and she's just sort of out of it and just. Well, she's very, very. Who was that? That was Stormfront. Who got stabbed? Stormfront got stabbed in the eye too. So Stormfront was stabbed in the eye by Becca. Ryan kills Becca on accident while trying to save his mom, and who he ends up shooting down Stormfront, but killing his mom on accident. So it kind of a bum situation there. So Homelander is not happy, but he looks real happy here. But I love this because it's totally the American Psycho in him. Like, have you ever seen American Psycho, Jason?
Oh yeah. Oh, of course.
God, dude,
Christian Bale.
Christian Bale is so good at it, and there's so many. I love this. He just starts laughing, just being insane. You just see his descent into madness sort of start, and so he talks to Ryan. He's like, Ryan, did you do this to Stormfront? And he's like, let's go. He's trying to take Ryan out and take him with him. And Ryan's scared because he just laughed like an insane person. He's covered in blood, and now he wants him to go with him. So he chooses Butcher, and Butcher's like, hey,
Well,
man,
that's his mom's husband. His
right,
mom told him, this is my husband.
yeah, for sure, yeah, one hell of an actor for sure. Wild. Yeah, so he chooses Butcher, and so Homelander's like, all right, fine, I'll just cut you down too. And then out of the woodwork, literally, Maeve shows up with the footage from the first season where they allowed a plane to crash so they could have a narrative that there was terrorists, super terrorists, right? Wasn't that the case? They let that plane crash, and Maeve and Homelander went on the plane, and on the plane there were people like, please save us,
And he was like, basically, we can only save one or two of them. We're not gonna even try.
right.
And she was like, we could save somebody, but he's like, no,
Right.
fuck that.
Maeve in this moment of like real compassion was like, well, we can do something. And Homelander's like, fuck it. And he was very callous about it. And it all was on tape and somehow it was recovered. And man, damn, the boys was originally DC. Yeah, they were. And it's really interesting that DC went, because DC for the longest time was just like Superman, Batman, and then they sort of started getting into these darker ones, especially when you're talking about like the Dark Knight. Who drew the Robert? I was gonna say Robert Kirkman. That's so wrong. But like you start seeing DC start getting into a darker phase, and I think the boys kind of came out of that darker phase. I could be completely wrong, everybody. My comic book game is weak. Okay, so let's see here. So she threatens Homelander, which is very interesting too, because she threatens Homelander with the idea that if he does kill and keep bothering Maeve, because she's like, you're gonna leave me and my wife, or me and my girl alone. You gotta leave these guys, the boys alone. You gotta leave everybody alone and just continue with business as usual, or else I'm gonna release this footage. And what's interesting is that even through all the maniacal craziness of Homelander, he still, the idea of people not loving him and cheering his name, he can't handle that. So it works.
It just shows he's coming from a place of pure ego, and
right.
they brought him up he wants that attention. He wants, to be loved by everybody and be that figure in everybody's life, even though he is a fucking piece of shit, sociopath, murderer. What he wants the most and his biggest Achilles heel is his need of that attention and love from everybody.
Yeah. And so we kind of mentioned it earlier. Yeah, Batman gets pretty dark. What we mentioned kind of earlier was that that Homelander, had this moment with Ryan in the cabin where they're talking, and they show the softer side of Homelander, and Homelander is, like you see this soft side of him, and I'll always be there for you. But then at the end of it, he's just like, well, I'd rather have people loving me in mass than have a relationship with my son. Like he just gave it all up. He's like, fuck it, revenge, fuck it all. And then so they kind of cut to this press conference where I love this scene. You know how he's just talking and it's just that same old rhetoric. We are here and we're gonna save you and we'll be super. And it's sort of they sort of zoom in on his eyes, and I just love this actor so much because he caught that, like, have you ever like looked at a pit bull's eyes and just saw that like dead, like I would just bite your neck and not even care, sort of looking, that
even this picture you're showing of his face, like the way his face is like tensed, but like keeping the fakeness as well. You can tell he's just like speaking through his teeth. He's just doing this to keep his spot. It was very, very good job acting.
Yeah, and just the cinematography was great, and it was great. Yeah, I mean, it's just the audio, the way that they did the whole thing was great. Just showing him sort of slipping off of the edge of sanity. And then happy ending for all. Starlight gets to go back to being in the 7, I guess, and Mother's Milk gets reunited with his family. Frenchie and Kamiko, they bang, I guess, and they dance. And then Ryan and Butcher, they have this little moment where they are where they're sitting in front of this little pond in the park in DC and waiting for the CIA to come and get Ryan, and he gives them this necklace that his mother gave him, and then Ryan's mother gave Butcher a long time ago to protect Butcher. He gave that to Ryan, and then he gives over Ryan to the CIA. And then in that moment, they said that they're starting a new unit in the CIA. They're going to be doing, what was it? What's it called? It was called the Office of Superhero Affairs, to regulate supers, and that she wanted Butcher to be on that team. And so we sort of see the setup for season 3 come in, and that the boys are probably going to go official. Everybody got their lives back in one way or another. And so it was sort of a tidy little ending for this storyline. I mean, not really an ending, but, sort of a setup for next season, which was great.
At least they tied off the season, though, which is always great when they tie off a season and set up the next season, as opposed to just, like, not setting anything up for the next season. This is a good feeling of completion, like this mission was done, but there's, as we'll discuss a little bit more, some bigger issues that may be coming up.
Yes, much bigger issues. I'm confused because he can be all... wait, hold on. Batman is pretty dark as well. Is Batman a vigilante, anti-hero, or a villain? I'm confused because he can be all. Venom is both anti-hero and villain. Joker is a villain, whom I sympathize with. I don't know. I mean, I always like that idea that one country's freedom fighters, another country's terrorists. I always like that idea that there's two sides to it. So I guess they leave that up to you. But I would like to think that Batman is for more good than bad. But again,
well, he's got the best superpower. He's got a superpower I'd like to have.
Money. For sure. Give me some money. All right, and so. Here's the iconic scene. I didn't want to put too much in there. I can't for TOS reasons. We're just gonna show Homelander's face. This beautiful scene towards the end of the episode where Homelander is on the Empire State Building, and he is masturbating, and Tim saying, "I could do anything I want. I could do
Very
anything."
vigorously.
Yes, a very vigorous jerk on the Empire State
His
Building.
eyes are lighting up. His eyes are lighting up.
Yeah,
Like
that's right.
here, I got some questions about the like super skeet that might have happened off the Empire State Building. Like,
Right?
I mean, what kind of thrust is this pushing out? I mean, I don't know.
Should
It
people be
seems
worried underneath him?
right. I mean, this is going to be moving with some velocity, I'd think, and at that height. I just think that there'd be some serious physics at work in this instance.
Yeah, I would think so too. I would think so too. That it's pretty intense. It just I could do it. And his eyes are lighting. I can only imagine that it's just this big sploosh of furious jism that fucking just coats a good 2 or 3 blocks of Manhattan.
Maybe it takes a building out. We don't even know.
Yeah, exactly. It might be. It might be another 9/11.
I mean, that's why I don't believe the storyline that he impregnated Butcher's wife, because it would just,
Well, in the comic book, the rape actually, I think, kills her. So I mean, it's
see, that makes sense. That makes sense. See, I'm not familiar with the comic book. I just
right. Well, that's where
I just use my mom's Amazon Prime account and I'm able to watch it.
Well, that's where
because I'm a grown up.
Well, that's where Zach was supposed to come in, because Zach has actually read the books, and Zach did send a message that he wanted to pass along, and we'll do that right at the end. And we do have to wrap up soon here, so we're gonna kind of speed through here and get to the end. And so here we go. We got here's Alistair with his fucking Fresca, and he gets off the phone with what is her name again? Victoria Newman, who in the comic book is a man. His name is Victor Newman. He's kind of a doofus who was the vice president, who ends up being the president because of a Vought coup. And he's just sort of this bumbling idiot that goes along with everything. And he's sort of the inside man for Vought, which I think is sort of what they're sort of doing with Victoria Newman, because he's talking to Victoria Newman and was like, and he gets his tax exempt status for the Church of the, what the hell is it called? The Church of the what?
Scientology. Oh, the Collective.
Church of the Collective. He gets that tax-free exempt because they would be actually considered a religion. And in that same sentiment, his head pops, which there's been a mystery of head popper throughout this whole season. Great scene when there was that big hearing where Congress people's heads were popping. And it's like, so there's this head popper that everyone's really confused about, which I guess I should have brought up earlier, because they kind of make it look like maybe Stormfront might have been doing it, but she sort of reveals in this episode that she is not the head popper. And then it turns out the big reveal is that the Congresswoman Newman is the head popper. And as she's giving him his tax exempt status for his religion, she pops his head and just moves on with her day. Huey ends up joining the Victoria Newman on the actual that team that was put together to monitor the soups. And he has no idea that he's working for the head popper. And then, of course, this final scene that I loved was her shutting the door, sort of echoing I think it's the end of Godfather 1, where they're sort of shutting the door on Michael Corleone, and there's the inner circle where they're about to he's the new Don. And so here she's shutting the door. I just love that. I gotta watch it. Gonna watch it tomorrow on a speed run. And the day after.
Oh, it's worth it.
Yeah.
It's worth it. Yeah. I watched it as it came out this week. I ripped that first season when I discovered it. And then I watched every episode. I think they came out on Friday nights?
Yeah.
I watched them.
So you were doing the weekly thing.
I mean, I was into it. Listen, Mike, I was laid up. What else was I doing? Okay, guys.
Well, that is our thing. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I know that this was a very long episode, but Jason, thank you so much. I know that it's been a long one for you, and the fact that you were able to do it, I'm very happy, because I know at some point in the summer, you were pretty bummed about your whole situation. So I'm glad that to see you smiling and making jokes again, and you're sitting
I'm
upright.
feeling good.
You're
I'm
feeling
feeling
good.
good, man.
I'm glad, man. I'm so glad. And Jason will be back. Remember, Thursday, November 19th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Jason, myself, and Zach will be playing a live show with guitar, bass, keys, and fun. So that is it. I'm gonna call it. It's been a long show. So I am hungry, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. And of course, let me read before you go. Let me read Zach's his real quick before we go. I'm gonna read Zach's little message to everybody because he wasn't able to be here. I'll do that. Okay, here we go. So this is what he was say. One point I would brought up, discussed is, learn to write better. The name Stormfront is also used by one of the country's strongest alt-right and anti-Semitic racist terror group in the country. They also use a lot of other terms. Most people who don't even deal with anti-Semitic BS don't know about these names, so I just wanted to bring that up. Also, the Church of Collective could have been seen as a slight at Scientology and Ron Miscavige for their blatant pro-Nazi and Holocaust-denying viewpoints they harbored in the early 2000s and probably still hold behind closed doors. So that was Zach's take on it. Zach is also Jewish, and so I'm sure that resonated with him. And so there you go, guys. The Boys season 2 finale. I fucking loved it. It was a great thing. And what's to come of season 3? We don't know. It seems like Victoria Newman is working for Vought, but we don't know. She could just be working for herself. Maybe she's going to be the inside person as the show progresses. So, all right, Jason, thank you so much, my friend. I always love seeing your beautiful face in my life, and it's been so good to reconnect for the last 4 fucking hours. So
I'll see you Friday. I'll see you this Friday, Mike.
Yep.
We're gonna have a little practice session for November 19th.
You're goddamn right we will. You're goddamn right. So, all right, Jason, you take care of yourself, and I'll talk to you soon, bud.
Later, Mike.
All right, peace, brother.
Bye.
Ending meeting. All right, guys. Thank you so much, Reina Mystique. All right, guys. I appreciate it. We are calling it quits because this went way longer than I expected. So I will see you on